Hey. So, how are you?
For the record, I guess we should wait till we're fully unmuted. I'd like to call this meeting of the Parking Commission to order. Shall we do attendance? We'll do this again for good measure.
No. Finder,
Here.
Roland,
Here.
Renninger,
Here.
Wolf Thunder. Evans,
Yes.
Dalton,
Here,
and Wall. Here.
excellent. First order of business is the approval of minutes. Apologize, I'm trying to pull up the packet real fast. We have no minutes. Well, I think the correct
The
one-
agenda says we've got June minutes.
Oh, I had scrolled down, I apologize.
I move approval of the minutes for June.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very much carried. Moving on with the reports from commissioners and city offices, we have a couple items on the agenda, specifically feedback from the boards and commissions. Anything additional?
Share this. When he's done, I guess. If
You can go first.
Whatever.
Right. Well, go for it.
Okay, you're gonna have to share. Oh, I'm here. If you go to the Zoom. Oh, no. Yeah, really weird, isn't it? Sunday meeting. Ryan, do you know?
What, Ryan, what if we do done, we can work, I can work in, that way we can, let's connect again now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do what?
You're at the meeting, you know?
Having some technical difficulty.
Oh, look
Oh,
better.
there we go.
Okay, so this is the letter I drafted, based on your words, and in response to the special, or the common council special committee on council processes. So I just took what you said in the meeting and turned it into a letter. If you have any edits or changes, happy to make those, or if you want to discuss, it's up to you.
Letter N, man.
Does anyone have anything that they would like to address with this? Any comments, commissioners?
So to clarify, these are just to. We're not calling for any changes to these provisions one way or the other. We're just merely discussing that these were things we talked about. Because it's not really calling for any change here, it's just trying to. It's reporting.
Yeah, they asked just for your input on, how you felt we were addressing your duties and your responsibilities, and so, That's just over the response.
Yeah, and we had discussed this, I think, the previous.
Yeah.
meeting, And this pretty much is a summation of that. We had very little changes. To
I think it looks good.
Excellent.
Agreed.
Mhm.
Point of order, for something like this, would we ask for a vote to approve sending this, or is this just a?
No,
I think it's just-
I think it says on behalf of the parking commission at the bottom. So
Okay,
I think under reports traditionally they don't vote. They're just, for your information.
On the other hand, I also think that, you can do this on our behalf, but it's beneficial to give us input. And if there was somebody with a big objection to the language, we could make a motion to that.
Sure, yes.
all right. I will attach my signature to this and we can send that off.
Okay.
Michelle, are you ready to? Present?
Sharing it.
This time.
Okay, so as always, I share what we've been doing since school started. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
I think it's big enough, right?
Or less.
So those,
What's on the far left side?
and this is, like, I share what was the past.
Mhm.
And as we trickle through COVID, and the parking spaces we have, that's the county. I mean, you guys are pretty familiar with this, I think.
We are.
And this is 3 months of sales. So,
I think the best thing, Michelle, would be for you to highlight a couple things that if
yeah,
it says anything or it does not.
it does not tell me. We've sold more than we had full sales last year, so we'll hit another pivotal point in January, of course. Students leave, students come back. So we will probably, I do not think we'll get to these numbers. I don't think we'll surpass
No,
20, we won't,
it's a
but
lot.
we will maybe come close. But we'll never get back to these numbers, as far as I know.
And these are for neighborhood zones?
Yes. These are all the zones, like I said, these are the neighborhood permit sales, zone sales.
And has anyone taken any of the specific zones, because we were looking at the aggregate, or they come to mind as far as lower or higher than?
What it used to be.
Yeah, or anything.
It's
Or is
hard
it-
to compare because of COVID.
Yeah,
It's really hard. As you can see, we're rebounding. We're just never gonna get back to where we were in 2019.
Sure.
Not anytime soon. I know they're building more, but this is basically what we sold. This was yesterday's numbers, by the way. You can't see that, but I didn't do today. I did the report yesterday. Yeah. And Collins right here, it did open back up. So you see this number 242 went to 256. Not really staggering, but it did go up.
So even though Collins is closed, people bought permits in that zone, so Collins doesn't buy very many permits, is what you're saying.
Collins by ordinance has X amount of permits, correct, Ryan?
Correct, but they're not actually,
Yeah, they opened this year.
but they're not actually buying one.
They're not, I think it was like, I think they had, yeah, and I think they bought 50. Yeah. 50 to 60 this year, yeah.
Would you mind scrolling to the left here and just? Right, back to the right side.
That help?
Yeah,
So these are the actual permits and these are the green highlighted are the visitors. Any further questions? We'll move on to garages. Nope,
Continue,
we're good?
yes.
Okay. Okay. What is it? What is blocking?
Steve's after Shane.
Oh, yeah. Okay, as you can see here, these are the actual transient, we call transient, those are commuters that come in. And these are Morton Walnut Trades 4th Street, the revenues that are coming in for commuters. Compared to, and I'll go line item by line item, so you can see last year, total, we made 261. Right now, we're trending at 246, so we're hoping to surpass that. So
Yeah.
that means it's trending up, right? Which is a good thing, because we really need it, y'all. Tickets here, that means tickets is ticket spitters. So you go into a garage and pull a ticket, that's what that means. It's not an actual citation, y'all. This is 121,389, and then the whole year last year was 121,175. So we're trending up again. Average ticket price, that's what ATP stands for, 215, and it's 217 for the whole year last year.
And
So-
within the garages, I have this question, anything, because it's ticked up, I would say.
Yes.
A significant amount, not overwhelming, but, Ray, are you okay there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to change seats, I
I put a lot of aftershave on.
Well, used to Steve's, aftershave you were, within the garages.
Yes,
I mean, what is anything,
so this is transient, and I'll get to monthly.
well, I'm just talking about within the garages as a whole, is there anything, because you said there's amount of tickets have been an uptick.
Yeah, there's an uptick, I mean.
Is
everything-
it pretty much widespread between them, because I know,
Oh, yeah, I
Okay.
mean, the busiest, so
I mean,
during the work week, Trades and Morton and Walnut, I'm sorry, 4th Street, Walnut and Morton are good, right? And
Yeah.
we're getting a lot, Trades, not so much, right? We've talked about that multiple.
but if you look at
Right,
those,
look at the tickets,
Tickets,
pulled,
it's-
right? Okay, so with Walnut being the most because of the students, right?
Mhm.
And we have a lot more spaces in 4th Street as well. So, but on the weekends, what's getting full is Morton and Walnut. Again, downtown crowd, downtown bars, but, 4th Street, while it's busy, it's not full. On the weekends, the events are pushing it,
Can
we're
we
getting
do
a,
22, just like real quick?
sure. The events are, pushing it for us. So,
So it's your full year and this is 9 months.
Yeah.
Let's go back down just a little bit, so that you can see the totals. So we're already ahead at 4th Street, we're already ahead of all of last year.
Yeah.
33 to 30.
they've just had a slow recovery period, like we said, the rebound has been slow, but we're getting there, and we have, we've kind of had some turnover, which is bad, but good. We have a good manager in there now, Jess, and we're really watching these numbers really, really tight. So this is transient. And then we go to our monthly.
Goodness, don't know.
You okay, hon? You step out? I think, Steve, you asked for the parking space count, so there's the counts. I'm not gonna change.
This is which garage?
This is all of them,
Oh, okay.
okay? And then this is how many monthly parkers we have. June, July, August,
That's not monthly permit holders, that's all,
no,
that's the maximum.
monthly parkers for every garage.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. Does that mean monthly people who buy permits?
Yeah.
Okay,
By contract,
so that's not an actual vehicle count, that's just.
that's not
on
occupancy, no.
the- Yeah, okay.
It says garage monthly parkers.
Okay.
So it's all of them. Okay, and I know they're not full, none of our garages are full, we have spaces, but the extra capacity helps in the weekends when we are full.
well, and I use the 4th Street garage on the weekdays and in the evening, so I mean. We wouldn't want those to be 1,700.
Nope, you would not. So where we're at. Here, this is the whole year. We did not have a full year,
Oh,
we
yeah.
changed systems, so we
Yeah.
did not have a whole year comparable. But we do have the money. And so the money's at 779,000, and then last year we made 830, so we still have 3 years. Or 3 years, 3 months left. To trim that up. And I think we're gonna surpass the 830. So we are on the rebound. It's coming out. We're coming out of it, which we really need to.
Can you go back up to the top?
Sure.
Why are the January through May empty?
Again, we changed systems. We did not have that
We don't have
information.
the data, okay?
No data.
It's not the data point.
Is there any questions? And we can go down to like, 2020, have that, that's COVID. There's 2022, awful. 2019. And this is when 4th Street shut down, right after 4th Street shut down. So we're turning back up, guys, which is a good thing.
Would you mind going on the last page? Because I want to see the trend of the average ticket price. We looked at pretty similar.
I think it was 2 cents off.
Yeah,
Those-
2 cents,
Yeah.
so we're 215 right now, 217 and 209. But as you can see, these black ones right here, this is when we didn't have trades in 4th Street, they were being built, so we only had, little amount of data, because we don't have any data, because it wasn't even built yet, completely.
To me, that says that the parking in the garages is cheap, inexpensive enough that even with inflation or whatever.
Look at 2019,
Still,
That figure was, we remember ordinance 1811 was passed.
yeah, it's
And
right
it took
here,
effect in August of 2019, so up until August 2019, there were 3 free hours.
right here,
And the
1 hour
ordinance.
free in 2019.
right.
I have
That
it
went
right
down
here.
to 1 hour free.
Yeah.
And do we still have that?
No,
Yeah, it's that,
it sunsetted on 2019 December, and then it was
Right.
done.
so we got rid of 1 hour free, so that year is gonna be unusual, and you can see, I mean, even during COVID, the average ticket price went up. Because people were always willing to pay more than, we were charging when it was 3 hours.
So we're a little different than neighborhoods. We increased our prices in January, so we're January to December instead of where new permit sales happen in August. So,
and that average ticket price can be considered sort of a proxy for time spent in the garage.
Yeah.
Right.
and it's 50 cents an hour, so they're spending 2 hours and 15 minutes in the garage,
No, 4 hours.
or 4 hours, sorry,
Yeah.
4 hours and 15.
So in other words, what it's saying is that about half the parkers are all-day parkers who are going to work, and the other half are itinerant parkers.
Yeah.
Maybe roughly, I don't know. Yeah, that's interesting.
But I mean, there's been a lot of misconceptions. I was talking to Ryan a couple days back. 4th Street is not full. I don't know where that rumor started, but I mean, and we have not turned any monthly parkers away from any of the garages. So if people are looking for parking, they can park with us.
Are the other garages, all the permits sold in the other 2 garages? Are they the 7th and in Morton?
I said, all the parking garages are open.
Okay,
No,
so, do you ever do counts of how many cars are actually present?
yes,
And, how often do you do that?
twice a day.
Oh, wow.
I just sent it to Ryan, didn't I, Ryan?
You did.
Could we ask for like you to add a tab, to this or to add that data somewhere?
Ryan, you wanna share it?
If you got it like handy, that'd be.
And remember, because of the transition, because of we moved to new systems, because of the people, I only have, I think I sent you, June.
That's fine.
June to October.
We're just looking at the past 3 months just to see
Right.
how it compares, but while we're waiting, could you go back to where's the one that showed how many permits you sold? Yeah, that one. So, okay, roughly speaking, during the school year, half of the spaces in our collective garages, we've sold a permit to somebody, and they're all numbers are, so, that's max demand, and now we want to compare it to how many cars are actually using those spots. And Ryan, you say you have that handy?
Do I have to stop sharing or something?
Yeah,
Okay, did you kick me out? This is what I sent to Ryan yesterday. It's an average,
Spaces.
yeah, it's percentage of occupancy.
It's hard to tell, but it's clear that, not all the people with permits are using them all the time. That's the only rough thing I can see from this.
It shows you they're not full.
Well,
mean,
it
that-
surprises me a little bit, not the trades, but the other trades, that they're not all in the. Well, more, I thought they were all closer to 50%, that's,
Not when you have 4th Street at 550 spaces,
yeah. Yeah,
it's just, you're gonna have Walnut and Morton, that's why we have not capped it, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, of
We just-
course, yeah.
We just keep on saying, we have open parking if you want it, a lot of people get here and decide different, and so it goes up and then they leave. There's a lot of.
and it's not the purview of this body or probably you, but what sort of marketing to let certain businesses know about the garage sales, whether that's monthly or hourly.
Garage sales, I mean, the marketing, it's for the students and, or it's for the students, but it's word of mouth. If they need it, they know where to come find it. IU supports us. IU sends it to us.
Yeah.
It's on our website that we have open parking. Oftentimes, I get a call from the chamber. I get a call from somebody, hey, they live here, will it work for them? Yeah, I speak to Felicia a lot, to the convention center, Facebook, we get a lot of feedback.
Well, because I know that some of the restaurants and other, entities, if they were looking to buy, and I've talked to a couple of them
Mhm.
about buying passes, and it's kind of sharing it among some of their employees. And that seems like not a huge expense, but I might bring that up to them.
But we have businesses with several businesses that park with us.
Okay.
Several
Okay.
businesses.
Okay, all right, so
Yeah.
it is big,
And
okay,
either they buy it for their staff or they have their
Okay.
staff buy, they
Well,
sign up under the company.
and I talked to them about it, and I don't really know, I have no way of knowing what they do with it, it's not like I check back and see like, did you get a pass?
I will say though, if there's a stunning number here, it's the Walnut Garage.
Oh, yeah.
I'm astounded that Walnut I thought it was definitely fuller than that, and it's just not being used.
Well, I've been to the 4th Street one recently. Now, this has all been evening events during the weekdays.
Mm,
And it's been I've gone up a couple
Yeah.
floors.
but we have 7, so.
Yeah.
it's not that.
Yeah,
You know, a lot of people, like Ryan and I were talking, they'll go to the 4th floor and say, oh, well, the garage is completely full. No, it's
Well,
not,
yeah,
keep going.
I wouldn't say it was full, but I would say it was more than, let's just say,
But you got,
yeah, no, but sure,
yeah,
let's put
so-
perspective.
yeah, 8 to 5, you got your 8 to 5 parkers, and then you got your 5 to midnight parkers. And then you just got your downtown eatery parkers, right,
Yeah.
that just come downtown to eat. So we have a lot of different dynamics going on where people leave, people come in. So there's technically no overlap, or maybe an hour overlap. So those parking spaces are free.
And you said you were having counts done twice per day. When are those counts performed?
The peak times of parking.
So like even in the evening?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any way that we could get, counts at peak times, that work?
Thing. Yeah, really not. You have to ask
Well,
Jeff too, if she's the
Well,
garage manager. No,
We talked about having just Michelle do this, what, quarterly?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so maybe the next quarter.
Whole
Yeah.
bottle of aftershave in it for you.
she'll puke in my office. I can't ever do that. I need it.
Well, that was very
Good
helpful.
cleansing.
Any final comments or questions regarding the parking utilization? Revenues? All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for
Thank
preparing that
you.
and sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Moving on, our next item is staff-led advisory transportation commission proposal.
What's the public? From the public?
Now we're just getting more thing from CR.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay, so, as we talked about last time, you were asked to draft a letter or a response, for potential proposal to combine the 3 transportation commissions. Staff had their own ideas, that was council led, So this is staff's idea, they just happen to, kind of align in timing, that's on purpose. I would say that this is a rough draft, that we're not asking for you to do anything other than give us, some ideas. We want to make this the best commission that can be, there's some very wide gaps in the current, process that we'd like to fix. So however that looks, that's fine, as long as it's better for everyone. So the just, not trying to kill the parking commission tonight or at all. I will say that, in the end goal, we would like to at least wrap some of, the design, role and responsibilities of the commission in toward a transportation commission. At the very least, they might look different. This can be different than we discussed that. Again, this is very early draft. So that's my warning. As you know, we currently have the 3 boards that act as part of the public process for practical transportation matters in the city. Each of these boards has a number of specific duties assigned to them. And as we recently discussed, some of these duties are not being completed by the respective boards, while other duties may have heavy overlap with another board or commission. The traffic commission, for instance, has not been able to keep up with its duty of educational activities in traffic matters. This is likely for a number of reasons, including, frankly, it's a volunteer board. And that's asking a lot of people who have full-time jobs and their responsibility. Next we have the Bicycle Pedestrian Safety Commission. It has a example of goals that lack depth, but have potentially too much breadth in responsibilities. For instance, to encourage hosting, cycling, and walking, running events conducted in a safe manner, which will attract visitors from outside the city, is the great goal. The city should absolutely, I think everyone would agree, be doing something towards that. Certain why it's being placed on this one board or commission to do that. And it feels like something maybe staff could be working with the voluntary board to do. Yeah, that parking commission has a number of well-established goals, has the best and most well-written goals. I'm not just saying that this is where it is here. So it has well-established goals, but it also has been unable to achieve some of those potentially due to, again, a heavy reliance on volunteer labor. For one instance, parking commission's loftier goals is applying for grants and other funds to help carry out the duties of city goals. I think that is a fabulous goal, and it's something that this body has discussed and been able to accomplish. That is something that staff, given more time, could potentially help. Actually, would be more than happy to help. Again, it's something that we don't want to rely on just volunteer work to do. It's something that should absolutely be done. So if there's other challenges, or there are challenges with the current structure. The 7 line, as you know, is one of the best examples of current system working at its best, but showing some weaknesses. The 7 line proposal features elements that would affect motor vehicle traffic, bicycle pedestrian traffic, and parking. So the presentation and resolutions brought to each of the 3 commissions in order to seek their approval. Many of the conversations were repetitive, but worse, some ideas were brought up in one commission and not contemplated by the other experts. While the 7 line had a fairly overwhelming support from the commission membership, a future project might not be so clear how would conflict in a commission in the various commissions to be resolved. So, additionally, attending multiple meetings is difficult for members of the public who wish to have their voices or their voice of concern or support heard. The city has a goal of fostering more and diverse community engagement. But multiple meetings, each with their own public comment period, can often come across as burdensome to those who would like to be heard. There are coordination challenges, overlapping responsibilities. Apparently, this can lead to result in a fragmented decision-making process and lack of synergy. The question that comes up most recently is how do you get a stop sign? You call staff, and then staff has to determine, well, is this only bicycle pedestrian safety? Is this only traffic safety issue? Is it both? Does parking get involved? And this takes up an exorbitant amount of time that I do not believe is accurately represented in the note. And they asked the questions in a way that, for those of you who read it, they asked questions in a way that made it seem like only staff time towards building the packet. And so that takes time, writing staff reports, all that takes time, but there's so much back and forth. Michelle and Ryan can back me up. We've had parking meetings where it takes a whole hour just to figure out one little minutia, and we have 10 questions to answer, so.
Definitely.
And then so the current system provides for a lack of holistic planning and can result in missed opportunities for comprehensive transportation planning. The recent West Allen Street Greenway project, which was approved by the Fed Safety Commission, triggered a request from residents to remove limited parking on the north side of Allen Street. Familiar with this, you all voted for it. The request wasn't included in the Greenway approval where it probably should have been. Instead, it was sent to the parking commission because the bylaws for this commission specifically mention that all parking matters be answered by this body. And last, or another big issue is equity and inclusion is not considered for membership, and that's potentially causing major structural exclusion. Currently, membership requirements overly limit the number of eligible residents. Parking commission require that some members be merchants displaying business in the city. The Bicycle Pedestrian Safety Commission has a requirement that members be a member of the Bloomington Bicycle Club or Bloomington Track Club, and there's additional a member slot for members of the IU Student Association. Additionally, membership on board is granted to a staff member, one of which who is often helping draft the resolution that the commission is then voting on. I see that as a democratic issue. It's certainly, it has to be very odd for Michelle or Ray to present to the board thing or then voting with the resolution. I think I have the number 17 of the resolutions over the last couple of years, 5 years, have been authored by Michelle and Rand, and then they've gone on to vote. The numbers is even more staggering for engineering, where Andrew serves on the track. So anyway, these restrictions, simply put, reduce equity. There's no way around it. The restriction is like those members being more often than not white, non-disabled men.
That is, oh man.
This one, I won't say anything, is has an issue with that as well. But so the vision for this proposed, or not even really proposed, this draft is that unified oversight, coordinated decision-making, and efficiency gains. There should be comprehensive transportation solutions, and equity and inclusion, and inclusive community engagement all need to be considered. So we've written that the idea is to write that directly into the establishing ordinance. So we've done that in a couple of ways. The new transportation commission needs to prioritize equity in order to achieve accessible infrastructure and community-centered design. The current commission membership requirements that exist for the three boards, they do have some issues, but the proposal would utilize the same overly strict, potentially overly strict requirements to ensure that members who are appointed are accurately representing the community. So diversity in decision making is something that has been sorely missed within the city. Enabling members from various backgrounds will elevate voices of often marginalized groups and allow for true community-centered design considerations in transportation funding. Transportation Commission will need to eliminate duplication, increase efficiency and resource allocation, and build towards multimodal focus. Currently, Traffic Commission and Parking Commission don't actually consider things like, will this increase bike ridership, or will this increase pedestrian safety, things like that. So community members will also need a clear point of contact for voicing concerns and providing input. Parking Commission, to pat you guys on the back, is the best at allowing people to just come in and talk. The public has a voice here, and you hear it, and you guys discuss it, and that's great. And that's something we would like to bring forward. So, additionally, built-in framework should be the networks that the commission members themselves are a part of. So the state of Indiana puts forward requirements for the city's plan commission, so we've used that as a guideline for this proposal. The idea behind these membership requirements are to include varied experts from across the community. The three commissions we're discussing today are not only are not the only transportation commissions. For instance, the Board of Public Works considers rights of way in many aspects, and the planning commission is responsible for the city's comprehensive and transportation plans, which lay out all expenditures in this law. You're the part of the three practical, they're more of the three, there are two policy and practical, decision-making bodies. But having members who can have a continued and open line of communication to other reviewing bodies will ensure that stakeholders remain engaged and informed, and hopefully provide teeth to the decisions being made, in that body. Eliminating duplication, efficiency, and resource allocation, multimodal focus, streamlining public engagement. Again, those are all things that the next body needs to do, or potential next body needs to do. The current commission lacks comprehensive approach, both because of the current fragmentation, but also internally because of the lack of clear reviewing standards for resolutions and petitions. As you know, the staff or the public will bring forward resolution, and then you kind of discuss how you think and feel about it, which is great, works out. But there's no established decision-making process which each petition needs to be reviewed under. So we would like to write that into the new body's bylaws so that it is open and known immediately. That the things, parking commission actually has done this, I've told this, I'll be honest, from parking commission. To make sure that it's consistent with the comprehensive plan, that it's whatever the decision is in the best practice for eliminating all transportation related fatalities and severe injuries. And consistent with promoting sustainable design and as a community-based solution to ensure that public input is first and foremost in all decision-making processes. I think unfortunately this slide speaks for itself. There has been an increase in the number of motor vehicle fatalities over the last 3 years. Between 2018 and 2022, there were 45 fatalities in our county. Currently, there is no community body that has a stated goal of ensuring that the city continues to strive for the complete elimination of roadway deaths. That is a fault that I think is so next steps, again, this was a rough draft. We're not proposing anything, not even asking you to consider voting on anything, or if we get plenty of time, we're not rushing. Or we're not rushing yourself either. So we would like to have an open discussion with you. This doesn't have to all take place in this meeting. We're happy to take emails or conversations later. And we're going to go to the other advisory boards that exist and do an internal discussion and then come back with maybe something later based on what we heard. So happy to take any questions or hopefully you have great pointers and direction for moving forward.
One thing I'd recommend putting on there on the groups
We just like show up.
within that for the proposed transportation commission would be a business representative similar to the one we have here on the parking commission, just to have that particular input, making sure that the city covers that part of demographics, commerce. I put, I put on my chip tag for this. So I just think that marginalized group is I agree with, but just including a business owner, or at least like again, the effort to do that is important to be at the table.
Could you go back to like the second slide, the one that showed not the second one, but the one that showed the different goals of each commission, the parking commission's goals. The one that you had in bold, the last one, yeah. So this, I remember when I was offering the ordinance, was almost an afterthought. It was a just in case grants or gifts could be gotten. I think at the time, it was unclear whether the administration would fund another parking study, for example. So maybe commission who thought that there needed to be a parking study done might find some outside grant for it. It basically was like one's appendix. It was organ, we're not really sure why it's there or what it does. So that's the very first thing that I would say, yeah, I can see cutting that. It's just not, it seems like a paragraph that never really meant much and probably could go. With respect to, can we go forward a couple? Yeah, let's stop back, go back there. So, I noticed that this is the first thing you had under challenges of the current structure. I've long thought that there's a lot more in common between these two commissions than between those two and parking. And Christopher speaking up just now, you know, maybe like I often regretted that I didn't name it something broader or less broad. Because I have always thought that it really isn't up to us whether a new space should be put in. Like that Michelle, for example, will put a new space up on Walnut because there's room. Like, I don't know that we as a commission should care. It's about how it's priced. Like, it doesn't matter to us whether you take spaces out and put them in. It matters how they're priced once whatever's left. You know, that's always been a much bigger deal. Like I've never personally cared about what happens once a car starts moving. That's traffic and bike ped, that's safety. We've never been concerned with safety. It's just, you know, do what you're all going to do. Put the spaces in or take them out. I feel like that we shouldn't, that the park commission shouldn't trump that. So, but you know, what we are concerned about is the commercial impact. Parking is an economic issue. Businesses are concerned about it, which is why we made sure to include merchants on it. We overdid it. We tried too hard to have very specific things, because we were really worried at the time about you know, the business community objecting to fiscal policy decisions we might make. But I wonder if another alternative might be to move the hosting department from planning to economic and sustainable development, because that would send a clearer message. I'm not sure. I mean, I think we were just trying to find the department that had the most holistic approach to planning, and because literally that's in your name, and you're responsible for the comprehensive plan, that made more sense than public works or engineering or ESD. But I feel like I have to pick one or the other. Either we're in planning and we merge into a transportation commission, or it's maybe not a planning thing, maybe it's an economic development thing. But that's where I've been eager someday for this commission to actually get to the point of addressing prices, because we know the prices need to be adjusted. The number one way to market the empty garages is to raise rates on the street so that people start seeing that 50 cents is more attractive. And we should definitely not raise prices in the garages. We should lower them if we really feel the need to build them, or lower the one when it's top floor of the 7th Street garage. Which, you know, top floor is cheap if you can get
I
it.
haven't rebounded yet, Steve.
But they're not, but they're using it 32% of the time. That's my point. They're not even going up there. They're going up there for the view of the city, and that's about it.
Shoot off hard.
So, I mean, I sort of see increasingly the logic of merging those two. But I still don't see how, honestly, we care about, and I'd love to be corrected by my colleagues, how we care about safety, that, like, why that should be not part of their bailiwick, and why this shouldn't have anything to do with us.
And I mean, every day, Fran, I deal with safety. So
Oh, I know.
while you guys speak as the parking commission, and I'm on the parking commission, it's a big part of what I do. Like, exactly, his example, stop sign. Who do we call? What do we do? Where do we put it? Who's it for? You know, all the stuff.
You guys have something to do with putting in stop signs?
If somebody,
Parking services does?
if it's reported to us, absolutely.
So somebody calls parking services to say, we need
Or
a
our
stop sign?
officers notice in the neighborhood, hey, there's a stop sign down, we need to have one requested to be put back up, and it needs to go back up immediately, because it's a 4-stop intersection.
But it's parking services that's responsible for putting the sign up?
No, But
Okay.
we have to be that igniter to get the process to go through, because it's a safety issue. It's a safety issue. People are reporting it on the streets to my officers. We get calls about it. Bike stuff, scooter stuff, all that, everything that everybody else touches affects parking in one way. They're on the road. It affects us. So it's almost like a domino that when you play dominoes and there's a little bit of too much space and they don't all go down at the same time. That's what Ryan and I are suffering from, because it doesn't always funnel to us what's going on and how things are changing. It's like, oh, by the way, now we have three, like you said, we have 3 extra spaces here. You can go ahead and put up some, but it also has to come from engineering, that it's safe, that it's signed right, that it has the.
But I mean, why, does anybody here feel the need to weigh in on a down stop sign on this commission? Because if not, maybe we need to rename the commission to better reflect it.
I think the one thing I will kind of push back is I've taken a survey, and I don't know which, I was the mayor's one, on eliminating one of the surface parking lots, for it is housing. Where I think Michelle could do an excellent job of advocating which one should and should not, having a citizen voice to making sure that the survey data and the practicality is being used as well. I don't know whether that is the parking commission, I don't know, but there should be some apparatus.
With all due respect to parking services, which may play a role in safety,
Yes,
I have never seen it, I personally, as one member, never seen it as the role of the parking commission to be concerned about moving, safety from moving vehicles.
I was just going for the adding or losing parking spots on an individual basis, no, but when you're talking about something like a full lot and which one it might be.
Sure.
Some commission should weigh in that and sort of look at that survey data, and I think Michelle could advocate for it, but that's not as transparent as say a parking commission or.
So I was approached, I was in a meeting that said, this is what the mayor wants, and this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna survey the people and these, so to say that I was asked, I was told. But if that's something that he wants, then you see what I'm saying?
And I was just thinking, going by the decision making.
Yes.
Which I'm not
Bob
necessarily.
and I had our say of, we would prefer it would be this lot, but at the same time, we were brought in early, told what the expectations were or what was set. And said if we had to get rid of one of these lots, we're gonna go out and ask people what they believe, which lot we should get rid of. Am I overspeaking, Ryan?
So you're saying the lots aren't even chosen?
Oh, no,
Okay.
I can confirm
You
that
see what I'm
that's not
saying?
confirmed.
Yeah, I know, let me, yeah.
Well, and again, there's no,
Yes.
it's not entirely out of the question that they might leave the spaces underneath and just build on top of it. You know, but that's a matter, that might be a matter for us, but even again, it's still not a moving, we have moving violations, you know, it's not a moving matter. We don't, we're agnostic about these things.
Mr. Wagner?
Could you go back a couple of slides? Yes. My only comment about this is that whatever future guidelines, requirements, et cetera, are defined for possibly a future transportation commission, that we make a very clear distinction between what the commission is empowered to do and what they are sort of aiming to do, what the goals are, and what they must do. And right now, I feel as though there's not really a clear distinction. Maybe it's just how the bullet points are laid out on this slide. But, you know, it's always been my impression that the commission is technically required to submit an annual report, for example, whereas we are perhaps merely empowered to apply for grants and funds and that sort of thing. But you know, there's that's gonna affect a wide variety of ways that we, you know, set up the mission and the goals and the, you know, capabilities of whatever redefined commission structure we end up with on the other end of this. And I really hope that we can make it clear what is actually required versus something the commission should be doing? Versus something that, hey, we are able to do it if we want it.
Mr. Langer, do you have a comment? I did have a couple of quick questions. One is, what is the thought around the timeline for any changes if this to be rolled out?
Yeah, so great question. We don't have a timeline, staff doesn't. Part of it, if you read the proposal or proposal draft, is that we would be utilizing the Safe Streets and Roads Overall Steering Committee to be turned in for this new body. So it would just progress with that process, which will take roughly 9 months, so 8 months. So there's no rush, that can actually start afterward, we would have on that. But the idea is to utilize a body that's already been considering the elimination of verbal EMS and evaluating serious injuries to continue that order.
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure if it's a comment or a question, but I think the only thing that I'm, each of these commissions have, we've discussed it before, our monthly meetings and, relatively full agendas. We, directly interact with members of the public trying to address their needs. And I still struggle to see how a holistic committee would have sufficient time, energy, and resources to address all of the specific things that each of these commissions are currently accomplishing independently. I think that's the one thing I don't see of how the roles and responsibilities are currently undertaken by each of these distinct commissions will be continued to be serviced as if this was combined.
Agreed.
Outside of that, I have to say, I think this is, it's really well put. I think there's a lot of compelling argument here, and I see a lot of value in discussion and decision-making. Because I think, see, to your point, to the extent we haven't considered safety, maybe we should have in some of these scenarios. And I think, just like, should we make this a new space, is there a safety implication that is invisible to us because we're not used to considering this?
But I mean, that's something that the other two commissions do.
Right.
Well, we never needed, we didn't need to also weigh in on that.
Right.
I hope we never have weighed in on. So we've left it to the safety commissions, which were there before us and doing a fine job.
All right.
Which one has Greg Alexander on it, at the bicycle?
Traffic.
Back in time in 2 days, I heard his name. Okay, any other comments on this topic, before we move on to reports in public? Any other additional reports from commissioners, city officers? All right, hearing none, let's move on to reports in the public. I recognize we have a couple of members of the public here, and we probably have some members of the public on our virtually. Is everyone who is represented in the agenda present?
I just wondering.
Matthew Winter is on the agenda, and John Fisher is not. They do have a person request at this time.
And are you,
Our names aren't there, but we were supposed to be on the agenda.
Oh, you're on, what,
Yeah.
are you 149?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're first.
well, you're first on the agenda, so. Let's review your request. So there's a request for parking restriction at the cul-de-sac of 149 East Willow Court. There,
I don't think there was an email or anything for any of those.
okay,
They were just going to, all of the reports in public.
yeah, you're welcome to speak from where you are if you'd like to stand or whatever you'd like to do. What would you like to share with us?
So basically, we live at the end of the cul-de-sac and we have two neighbors who consistently park their car in the cul-de-sac. So there's two cars always in the cul-de-sac. I really could care less generally, but there's multiple issues that arise from this. Number one, both of our children, we both live at the end of the cul-de-sac. So we live
It's a duplex, and I live in one side of the unit.
We
she
live
lives
here.
in the other.
Okay,
Okay, here's the cul-de-sac, these are actually the two that are always there,
Yeah,
okay, like always. So number one, we have children in special education. Buses are supposed to come to your door. Buses won't come to our door because they cannot turn around.
sure.
So our kids either have to be driven down here or walk down here. Okay, that's one issue. Number two, our trash services are continually not picking up our trash because certain drivers will say they can't get down there. Some do, some don't. But some drivers are saying they can't come down there. Number three, emergencies. Actually happened in June. I had a medical emergency. Ambulance pulled into my driveway and then had to back all the way down Willow Court because they couldn't turn around in the cul-de-sac. And which could, that's time, but I mean, that's just, it's just, and then my point is, they're always parking there. Can we get some no parking signs put up, because otherwise we can't make them move.
Yeah.
They won't even move, like, I even went to the neighbor and was like, look, can you just move on trash day? No. Okay,
we went as far as walking, taking our trash down the street. When doing so and hitting the markers where they asked us to put our trash. I actually had one of the neighbors put a bunch of stuff in my trash. So that there was maggots in it and I cleaned it out.
because then these neighbors down here got mad because our trash cans were brought down
And we're invading their space.
in their space.
Even though the trash people told us to take them down the street and walk them down. When we were doing this, we noticed that another neighbor that had moved in is now getting his picked up, but yet we were not.
Might I ask two questions? One, for the record, would you mind saying your names?
Oh, I'm Gabriel Farmer.
Donna Crowley.
Thank you, welcome again. And just out of curiosity, and part of my ignorance, are you a part of a homeowners association?
No.
Okay, yeah. Well, this is interesting. Steve is here. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Michelle. Do that.
What if we put the parking here? Would that be a problem?
All right,
Okay,
Michelle.
this is not, just so you know, this is not in our enforcement area. What we would do is we would refer them to engineering. Neil Copper would take a look. And they have to go out and do a visual study. And they determine, again, this has nothing to do with parking. So if you had called me, I would have told you that, I'm sorry, but
Nothing to do with parking service.
it has nothing to do with parking services.
We have called everybody, we didn't know where to go.
Yeah, I understand, and that's to who?
Hang on, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Well, it's still okay, I mean.
I would jump in and say that they have definitely spoken, or someone has spoken to engineering and planning about this, so,
okay.
again, this is, going back.
Again,
Yeah,
exactly.
Pesos?
Yeah,
That's her.
yeah,
So she's the one who told me to come here.
yes.
It's a start, it's a start, okay.
I'll also add that, as I mentioned in my presentation,
Yes.
this body actually has to review everything that is parking related.
We have to fix that.
Yeah, because that's.
It has to come here regardless.
But I have complete sympathy. Sorry.
Yeah,
I do
absolutely.
too. It's not that I don't have sympathy for your cause, it's just, I personally don't have the authority. I have to send you to somebody that can go and study this area, hear your plight, right? And then they determine what their suggestion is. Again, we don't enforce this area, this is outside our enforcement area, so even if you called up, we could go and if they make parking spaces there, but this is not something we enforce 24/7.
Okay, I just do want to comment, because I don't want to discourage you guys
No.
from coming, that, I mean, this commission has voted before to put or no parking signs, we put, 30-minute voting signs next to the church on 4th Street. We voted to do that, which is, sending well, I guess it was sending a resolution to the council.
That's downtown, though, and that's what.
Right, but, no, I mean. We
We
voted,
can send it to engineering.
Well,
Mr.
So
Rowe.
who enforces,
Yeah.
if there were no
Yeah.
parking signs, who
yeah,
enforces?
so I can answer this, so, first of all, if there was a commission that should address this, it is traffic. Because the issue is the trucks aren't able to come in, they're not able to turn around, it's a moving issue.
Yeah.
We've contacted.
Traffic commission said no.
We have contact, and they're, we just keep getting run around, go here, go here, go there, because nobody.
Well, okay.
So I'm telling you right now.
Blame Greg,
I
yeah.
don't
Okay.
know here, and a fire truck can't come, there's an issue.
Right.
Yes, no, they have not presented to traffic commission, nor have I'm the staff, the green of traffic, but, they, this is actually being considered by engineering, like I said.
Yeah.
This is the equivalent of a traffic inquiry and traffic commission. Public is allowed to.
It just feels, I mean, you know, but having said that, as a council member, my guess is that the cul-de-sac should be painted yellow. And that parking should be allowed off the cul-de-sac, because the whole point of the cul-de-sac is to allow turnarounds. So, you know, if to placate people who are used to parking conveniently right next to their house, in theory, there's more than enough room in the center of that cul-de-sac that you could even, I mean, as long as the lane is big enough for the truck to turn around, you could leave parking in the middle of that cul-de-sac. That's a
Yeah.
wide enough road, but you don't have to.
It's not as big as what it looks
It's
like.
not, and then you have the parking.
Yeah. I
It's like a membership
didn't-
cul-de-sac.
It's very, very.
Then that creates.
I'm not endorsing it, I'm not endorsing it, I'm just saying.
See,
I see lots of big driveways here.
So, another question I have that
That's-
would matter in this instance, the parking, are they staying there for days? Are they just staying there for?
Oh, no, they're pretty much always parked there.
Yeah, are they moved every 3 days?
No,
Even though they have driveways.
right,
correct, they never.
the red car is.
They're renting car meetings occasionally, like during the day.
He won't park in his driveway because he says it'll mess with his street commission.
But the black truck moves like maybe once a month.
Right.
Well, there's an abandoned vehicle ordinance that,
I mean, they drive it.
And then,
But
But listen to the ordinance first, so you understand what.
yeah, a vehicle by the ordinance has to move every 3 days, and if it doesn't, we'll come out and tag it. You know, and then we'll
That might
monitor it if it's not moved.
hold on, but you just also said that this is out of your jurisdiction,
This
so it
is
wouldn't
not-
be you, it would be the
We-
police.
We
Okay.
do this on complaint basis, we don't roam the neighborhoods to find
So,
abandoned
so,
vehicles.
so you, yeah, okay, so you don't patrol it, but you will do it on,
Abandoned, like if you've got a car sitting there with flat tires, and you know that
it's not gonna move.
it's not gonna move, it's not operable, because that's also an abandoned, it has to be an operable vehicle.
What if it's an operable vehicle, plated and everything, and just don't move it?
Right, so that's abandoned.
Right.
So by ordinance,
You can call us, we'll go out, tag it,
they don't move
they
it,
don't move it.
we'll tow it.
we voted the right commission to
can't-
put it after. all.
We can't.
I think that,
Some part.
It's
I think-
start.
It's a start, that's just,
Yeah.
this is not.
This is
That's
not.
not- no, sorry.
The warning that we're serious, we're tired.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't
Mr. Water,
I don't think these vehicles are abandoned, and I don't think that, I think they're using them, they're driving them, you say, but they park there. Year
No,
round.
like-
That's the driveway.
Yeah, but
They're
some,
not utilizing their driveway, as a result, they're blocking the proper use of this cul-de-sac.
that's not the problem we're trying to solve for. It's not an abandoned vehicle problem. It's
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 a,
a poor
it's a-
parking.
there shouldn't
problem.
be parking,
Well,
you should not be.
But it's not a parking issue.
but technically it is, I mean, abandoned vehicle.
Right.
so we-
Technically, yeah,
We can start by resolving the problem by going out there and issuing a abandoned vehicle notice. At that time, you work with engineering and traffic, to get somebody out here to study this area, to see what can be done. And every time they're parked there for 3 or more days, we will come out, we will ticket. If they do not move it, it's an automatic tow.
and that's parking services. So-
That's parking services, but then you're still going to have to work with
Right.
traffic and
in
engineering
the meantime,
in the meantime.
Because they can basically go and start the car and.
And
just move it across.
move it to their driveway,
Switch the car.
but that's the whole goal.
But it's gonna
It's
take
to move
time and effort to keep moving these cars
Because
around.
if they're in the same spot and they come back then it'll look like it's, even if they drove it that day and it comes back to the same spot, then it doesn't look like it's.
We have a way to take pictures.
And we photograph everything, we can tell if it's been moved, yes.
Brian, you said that this is already being considered for engineering.
Yes, I assume you guys talked to them or someone did, so yes.
Which call, guys?
Yes,
I have talked to the trash people, I went out and talked to the trash man to see what the problem was. I said, if I take, I'm taking it down the street, I said, not to bring my personal stuff into it, I'm gonna have a major operation. And I don't feel, I pay like anybody else, and I have been here for almost 5 years. I should be able to keep my trash away. This only became an issue the last, year. And it was not an issue before, but there also was not a car on the street on the other side before.
Gotcha.
And then, sorry, and so now there's this other red cars involved.
But you're saying the red car does move some,
Yeah.
a lot, right? Have you, and I'm not advocating for this, but have you tried to talk with them?
Yeah, like we said, the,
Have you? tried to
Yeah,
send
so
it?
the guy in the red car says he can't park in the driveway, he cannot park.
Because it
His
won't
his
start.
transmission.
yeah, that's the transmission.
Okay, okay.
Well, is there any way that they
I know.
can glean some status about the request engineering?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll have to get Karina, since I can't talk to engineering right now, to email you what the status is, but it's definitely in the process there as well, so, yeah.
Cool.
But if you see it, call us, we'll come out and ticket it. And what we do is we put a notification by code, it has to be 72 hours,
What
right?
number do we call?
She'll give you the time.
She's got a card for you. Well, thank you for bringing this to our attention. Sorry we can't be more directly helpful, but glad to hear that the gears are turning. I know it happens a little too slow.
And I'm Michelle, I'm the director, that's Ryan.
So they're in charge over there, so.
So just give us a call, and we'll come out and
Maybe
do what
getting
we
a
can.
citation, a warning,
And he'll go, what's
Well,
going on?
call us and we can explain the ordinance and the policy
Sometimes
better.
that gets some,
Sometimes it gets them,
I mean, you don't want towed, so you need to move the car.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Or you don't.
I mean, the whole shenanigan thing is like. It's not a problem until it's a problem.
Until it's a problem.
Right, and so that's what, like, once I really never even thought about it until we had an issue with the trash. And then, and the buses, and then I thought about, what if we did really have an emergency?
Yeah.
And then we had one,
Yeah,
and then it was like.
So
We
hopefully,
were actually joking, and I was like, what if we got a fire and the trash man get down here?
right,
And I said, not just to mention that, how are they gonna plug into water if they had to?
are there any hydrants around the code?
There's a hydrant, but it's like right, so like the cars park here in the cul-de-sac and the hydrant is here. So they're never blocking. The,
You're welcome
yeah, please do.
Sorry.
okay, so call us ladies, okay?
All right.
We'll help as much as we can, and Ryan will check on the other, right?
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just for a note for where we are in the agenda, we've got about 22 minutes left officially on our time. We've got at least a couple more people who have some issues, so we should try to be expedient as we work through these. Do we also have Mr. Winter who's in the chat? I know he's been here for a while, probably we sort of move him up and give him a chance to speak first. And then we can go through.
Mr. Winter should be able to unmute.
Mr. Winter, if you'd like to unmute yourself and tell us about your issue, we'd love to hear about it.
Hey, thank you for having me. You guys can hear me, right?
Yes, you can.
All right, thank you. I'll try to make this as quick as I can. So I'm on an apartment on 17th Street. It's in the zone 6 parking area. Obviously, because I'm in an apartment complex with a parking lot, we're not allowed to get the street permits for parking in that zone. This hasn't been an issue in the past, but I was just informed as of this next year to sign for my lease again. Not only are they doing the typical rent raises, but they're also now going to start charging a $55 per month fee for parking. So I was wondering if the parking commission could allow us to have the ability to park on the street now. One of the other things is the parking lot is definitely not worth $55 a month. It's can I share my screen to show the parking lot?
Yeah. Just a moment.
This is how, right, yeah.
Alright. So yeah, I just got 3 pictures, so it's a rather steep hill. When I first moved in, I had to, I ended up having to get a new car because my other one broke down. I had to get an SUV because every time one of these sedan-sized cars goes through, they end up bottoming out right away, unless they come to like a full stop on 17th Street. Then there's the parking, the alley to this place is just riddled with these deep potholes. You can see how deep they are with my foot in it. So those are the 3 pictures. There's really no good way in or out. Every single winter, we end up having to shovel out the UPS trucks and the Amazon trucks because they end up getting stuck in those potholes and the snow so bad. So that's pretty much what I had to go over. I
Hey,
know that
Matthew,
we're not
this
allowed
is-
for,
Matthew, this is Michelle. I'm the parking director. What alley is that? Can you put
That
that back up
is-
there?
yeah, it's the
That
alley
picture?
just behind 17th Street.
17th Street.
Right behind
Yeah.
it. Is that between?
Yeah.
Grant and
If you're
Zone
looking at
6?
17th Street, so just behind this is the alley.
Behind what?
Behind
Just
the
behind,
varsity
just behind this
property?
apart. Yeah, behind
This one.
these varsity properties is the alley.
Is it a drive
So you
or
can
not?
access it from Dunn, but it's really hard to go through. A regular sedan-sized car wouldn't be able to handle those potholes.
I think is it the alley that goes from Grant to Dunn Street? It's like
East,
Yes.
west.
parallel to 17th Street, yeah.
Yeah,
And is
exactly.
it technically an alley or a drive? I'm trying to figure out who is.
I'm not sure, actually. I've
looks
tried to
like
get the
you-
holes filled before. The most I've ever gotten is they'll come and put rocks in those potholes, but after like 1 or 2 rainstorms, all the rocks clear out and those potholes are right back.
If it was the street department, they'd be doing a much better job. So we
It sounds
suspect
like
that,
it's the property.
this is Steve Bolin, we suspect that, it's not technically a city-owned alley, that it's a privately owned drive, in which case we don't have jurisdiction over it.
Yeah.
And also, the way the ordinance is written now, it only allows people living in single-family residences to apply for permits, which we all know is problematic, but that's the law right now.
Mhm.
And the challenge to change it has been formidable. So if you're looking for relief in the near term,
Yeah, I would need to know by the end of November, essentially, to know if I'm gonna have to re-sign my lease, because this $55 per month increase is not sustainable on top of the rent increase. So I would, and I understand that there's an issue with like making sure there's enough parking in zone 6 for the residents there. So I was just hoping maybe if like one could come and could show that not only are they within the zone, but they also have like an unfair amount of parking fees, and given the quality of the parking lot that they have. But it sounds like you're saying that's probably not gonna go through by the end of next month.
regardless of the issues, there's no way that an ordinance change will happen that will accommodate you by the end of November. It's going to be many months, we don't, the ordinances don't change that fast. So I'm afraid that your best option is to take your plan B.
Yeah.
Well, this is for the next signing year, so this doesn't get applied till August. It's just I need to sign by like
Okay.
end of November, mid-December.
I mean, the issue with, the price and the eligibility for parking in zone 6 is very fraught. And it goes all the way up to the council level. There's a lot of concern about how it should be priced and who should be eligible. And like, I'm often confident in my ability to legislate something. I have no confidence that I or my successor will be able to
All right.
untangle that knot. So I wouldn't bank on it. I can't
Okay, well-
guarantee anything.
Thank you for being honest, because that at least lets me know I need to start looking for new complexes.
Thank you, Ryan.
Hopefully,
Yeah, I will say, thank you for bringing this to our attention. Your
Yeah,
voice is
you've heard this before.
being added to the list of complaints from residents in that area.
And
Yeah.
this is Michelle, I'm the parking director, always go into the apartment complexes and ask about parking first.
Yeah,
That's your first question. If you have a card and you need the ability to drive, the first thing you say is, can I get city parking? And then double check what they say.
Yeah, I've done that already a few times, so they've already been
Okay,
turned
yeah,
on,
continue to
obviously.
do that. It's gonna be in your best interest, Matthew. I
And
promise you.
Mr.
Call
Renfro,
us.
thank you again for bringing this to our attention, and sorry we couldn't be of more assistance.
Thank you.
All right. All right, we do have other few members from the public here. Just you, okay. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us what you're here to talk about?
My name's Annabelle Clens. I live right across the courthouse.
where?
Right across the courthouse, the street. There's some mirror, there's a Bella, there's a web shop. I live right there.
Oh,
Just downstairs.
So the parking situation there is what, metered parking? So obviously that's really fucking expensive. Also, I don't wanna have to pay that all the goddamn time. It's really tedious, it's stupid, I don't like it. So that's my current, that's one solution for where to park, right? Because my current, there's only 6 people within my apartment complex, so it doesn't qualify for like, obviously like RLM, board taken and parking. The other option there is a parking garage, which if like you're a woman like me, it's scary to leave parking garages at night, like 2 blocks away. Sorry, I don't feel safe downtown, sorry, I don't feel safe in a city. So that's like not a very viable option for me. And also you guys don't allow any parking permits for that area because, apparently there's some law made where you can't get parking permits there because there needs to be metered parking to allow people to get to the shops. But I live there and there's always open parking slots. There's not, I don't know what delusion is happening here, but there's not people going to the shops often enough where you need all those slots to be open in that way. So I don't get why I'm kind of requesting and or advocating for a permit that you should be able to get. So that like for me, the residents who live on the square where we need accommodation, like I'm living with like a lot of shit going on. Like if you're having mental illness, it's really fucking hard to like do shit. And yeah, it's not very convenient to like have to do that every day. Like I wake up super fucking late, oh shit, I have a ticket. Like,
If I can interrupt you, I would really appreciate if you could keep your language civil, because this is for public.
oh, well, what do you mean by civil? Because it's not like that's, I'm not trying, it's just like, this is a good setting, so.
I understand your.
Information, whatnot.
Absolutely.
I'm not trying, but I think anybody who's actually watching this, you're gonna see it, is probably like of the age where they can find by my language.
Well, thank you for bringing this to our attention. From our perspective, you do have, garage parking available within, I think, a block in either
Yeah, I
direction.
really understand people who have disabilities, is that really accommodating to people? No, it's not, is it?
Yeah, Mr. Rowland.
Your problem is interesting. Like, we don't have the equivalent of an IEP like you have in a classroom or a school, but I don't know that we've ever actually explored mental health disabilities as something that might be eligible for disabled parking, but even there, we don't reserve parking for disabled people. In other words, there's metered parking for the disabled, but we don't have permits for them, and the city eliminated. It had a program where people could get a permit to park on what was called the resident only parking permit, but it was eliminated about 4 years ago because the theory is that that area is the public right of way and no one person entity. If we were to allow this, every business will ask for the same type of permit, that they want to reserve permits in front of their business. And like the theory of the street has always been that it's public land.
So I would say, I think there's enough spaces for you to allow each potential where there's a residency, at least 1 or 2. There's enough to allowance where there's probably 1 or 2 spots per residency per side of the street. And yeah, that would be limited, and yeah, like it would be very itsy bitsy, but like it's what you're doing what you can do kind of thing. Like I also saw that there's city hall, wait, what do you call it? No, it's the courthouse. There's courthouse permits, so there's permits to park there. So I kind of just get one of those.
There's
You
not.
know, so here's the thing, is yesterday I saw a car parked there and they had a little permit thingy, like a little thingy in the thing, and I looked at it and said like city, whatever the fuck it's called, sorry, for permit thing, it was a little permit, and I was like, speak of the devil, there is a permit for it.
It's not for parking. It's,
It's
they
just-
have a permit on their car, maybe from Monroe County,
Maybe for something else.
something else, something that
No.
gets them somewhere else.
We don't issue those.
They do have private lots behind.
We don't give the
No.
county, the city doesn't give the
No.
county special permission to park.
No.
That's why they built an entire garage for their employees down the street.
Well, I.
Which is not-
Orange, so I'm sorry.
No, which is, again, not next door to the courthouse. They have, what is that?
It's a block two away.
Yeah, 2 blocks away. Which is, I would say is just the nature of living downtown.
But
I mean,
I do want to express, that I totally sympathize with what you said about parking garages.
Yeah.
We do talk about parking garages a lot here as a solution, as an alternative to parking on the street.
Yeah.
In like a perfect world, it is, but, all my friends I've talked to who are, not men, not male, always raise the concern of safety of parking garages at nighttime. So I'm just really, as much as I love parking garages as a concept, I just want to be very, very about saying that's a solution for everyone. So,
It also costs money, that's also not financially an option for a lot of people. It costs a lot of money per month, and then if you only get them, there's two kind of the 24-hour for the parking garage, or you can do 12-hour. The 12-hour only allows them to get there from 9 AM to 9 PM. Like yesterday, I tried to get my car a little bit past 9, and I got paid to get out of the fucking parking garage, and I was like, God forbid, I finally got the parking pass, and now it's even making me pay. So now I even only have a very slim amount of opportunities.
I want to just echo what Mr. Waninger said about, we collectively, there's no one individual, I think have taken for granted the safety issue in garages. Having said that, the bottom line is if we were to accommodate your concern about price, we'd have to accommodate everyone's concern about price. That was the same argument that county employees use. There's not enough parking. It will be, you won't have access to parking because everyone will be using it for free unless we reserve it for you. And we don't have enough parking to reserve it for every resident downtown. Yeah, no, it's just, I mean, I don't have time to go into all the reasons why it would not only not work, but that it would get no support anywhere in City Hall. There's no way we can make that happen. I mean, it's nice to think about, but the bottom line is, the dense downtown, it can't also accommodate cars and accommodate everybody else. The density, the number of people who are living downtown.
So it does sound like you are familiar with the monthly parking passes that are available to you for kids.
Yeah, and they're kind of, I'm gonna say, it is that it's only 9 AM to 9 PM. Because again, I asked someone early and I inevitably paid to have the garage. And I was like, oh God, I usually got the pass, and then obviously I got it for the daytime, because I'll be there at night, I'm scared of nighttime. Of being part of the garage, so it's like, I can't win, I didn't smell it.
Michelle, just a question for clarification, how do the parking passes work for residents? They can leave their car there overnight, that's okay?
They have to pay the overnight fee.
There's an overnight fee is
Well, I mean,
on
you-
top of the permit.
it's what she said. You either get it Monday through Friday for 12 hours,
Right.
or it's the 24/7
Okay, yeah.
pass.
So, yeah.
And it's two different prices.
Right.
It's only Monday through Friday. Oh, fuck, I didn't realize a lot of things, maybe that's why I pay.
That's exactly why you have to pay.
Oh my God, see, what the fuck's with that? Jesus Christ. A girl can't win in this government.
Well, I'm sorry we're not able to accommodate your specific request.
Well, is there any way that the movement towards a potential allowing parking permits for that area for those residents?
I'm happy to talk with you more after our meeting if you want to go into more depth about it. I'm the city council member for that district,
Yeah,
so
I know.
I'm happy to talk about it, but we need to move on.
All right,
you have one more?
If you want to stick around for about 5 minutes.
so we do have one more person on the agenda, thank you very much. We have Mitzi Lewis, is Mitzi Lewis here? It's simply just the email that we have. We just have an email.
See, Jessica, sure.
Since Jessica is here,
Mitzi is a great name, so if we're not getting Mitzi, I feel like we're not.
Just ask about you, so.
Hello,
Jessica, hello, Jessica.
am I getting a turn? Thank you.
Welcome. It's your turn. What would you like to share with us?
So I live on 15th Street, 319 West 15th Street between Woodburn and Madison. And we do not have permitted parking at all. We don't have any parking restrictions on our street, but it's getting to be where we're just having too many cars parked. It's blocking up traffic. There are at least 5 homes on the street that do not have any kind of driveway or access other than street parking, one of ours, which is ours included. And we've got a brand new duplex right next to us that does have a driveway. We're just seeing a lot of homes that do have driveways aren't necessarily using them. They're using street parking instead. Our proximity to the stadium causes problems on game days. And I know that there's permitted parking on the other side of College Walnut on 15th Street. So we're just west of College and Walnut on 15th Street, and don't have any kind of permitted parking or anything like that. So I was I just wanted to find out what the process is to issue, new permitted parking in a neighborhood like ours.
If a neighborhood wanted to create a new parking zone, they'd appeal to someone like me, a city council member, who would present it in an ordinance. It would have to be approved by the city council to start permitting another neighborhood, or to expand a current neighborhood zone to accommodate more streets. I think that in your case, it's the same solution, but you'd be better off applying for a new zone. But I mean, I don't know what the process is. I don't think there is a process. I think it's just you get a council member to sponsor an ordinance to make a zone. So if you'd like to talk about it, I'd be happy to receive your email. And we can go about it in more detail, but I mean, that's basically, then it would come to the parking commission, I think, for consideration. And I suppose the parking commissioner could also recommend it. There's no reason why a parking commissioner couldn't sponsor a resolution here to encourage the council to form one. So it could go either way. It doesn't have to start with me or with a council member.
Okay.
But that would be the remedy.
Okay. So so is there one that's better than the other, more effective?
You are in, I think, council members, it's south of 17th Street, so I think that's Councilor Rosenbarger's district.
Yes.
And it might be good to have your representative to talk to them first. I'm happy to forward an email if you like. You can send to me or to her.
Okay. All right.
And I know we've talked about the standards of like eliminating a parking zone. The past was to kind of get consensus from neighbors.
Yeah,
I think the same way goes for if you'd like to create a permit.
Yeah.
Or permit zone is probably,
talk to neighbors. Yeah,
talk to neighbors.
Do you have an HOA?
No.
All right.
So there's no requirement to talk to neighbors, but it's just a nice thing to do.
Could be a good thing.
good
Yeah,
advice.
I mean,
Yeah.
there will be more people saying, this is what we really need in our neighborhood.
Mhm.
So the more people that are saying that and the more people that are behind you, you can, there's more voices.
And elected officials listen to that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Is there a difference between like homeowners versus renters, like as far as like, I don't know, who would have
Yes.
access
Yeah.
to?
that's a
Okay,
That's a good point. Right now, our law only allows neighborhood zones to sell permits to people living in single family structures. So apartment buildings would not be eligible under current law. It's a raging topic of,
But a duplex would,
no,
it wouldn't?
not anymore.
Oh,
And that's one reason why the council is concerned about zone 6.
Mm.
So, do you live in a single family residence?
I do, but there are several duplexes on the block, so I don't think they'd be very open to the idea.
Right.
Right.
Right. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't create a law that would create a zone that would be allowed to duplexes, but it's all a matter of stuff that we need to talk about outside of the meeting. But if you approach any parking commissioner or any council member, especially the ones like me or your current representative or an at-large, they would all be happy to talk with you about it.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, well, thank you, Jessica.